Baltimore, good morning. I'm Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We've got a great show for you today, folks. We've got a woman who I believe is going to make history. Now, I've got to be neutral. Miss Sabrina Tapp Harper. She's running for Baltimore City Sheriff, if many of you don't know. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to introduce you. And those of you who do know, she's going to give you some information that you may not have. And then you can make your own decisions come June. So Baltimore, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Baltimore, stand up. Stand up, stand up. New life. Let's go. Yeah. The New Life Recovery Center on the map, where they talk real talk, where they help you bounce back from the needle, from the bottle, from the dice, from the cell, from the nights you were living in your own private hell. Start a new life.
Baltimore, good morning. Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We've got a really wonderful guest today. I told you she was coming. She's here. She moved some things around her schedule, and she came to be on camera today to tell you who she is and why she's doing what she's doing. So we want to introduce you to Miss Sabrina Tapp Harper, candidate for Baltimore City Sheriff. So Miss Tapp Harper, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
So for the folks who may not know who you are, tell Baltimore a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and what you're aspiring to do. And we're going to take it from there.
So first and foremost, I love Baltimore. I understand the culture here. I was born, raised, and educated in Baltimore City. I'm a graduate of Paul Laurence Dunbar High School.
Dunbar poet.
Graduate of Coppin State University.
Okay.
And I have a master's degree from Johns Hopkins University. So I love Baltimore, and I have spent all my adult life in the law enforcement arena, almost 4 decades.
Okay.
I did 26 years with the Baltimore Police Department, retired from there as a major, and then I did 9 years at the Sheriff's Office, retired as Assistant Sheriff, which was the highest rank any woman has ever achieved at that particular office. So now, it's been my life's work involved in the whole law enforcement, public safety piece. And now that I've done all of that, I'm going back to, with the support of Baltimore residents, if you elect me to be the first female sheriff of Baltimore City.
So, and you and I touched on this, and I think it's very, very important. I talk to a lot of folks, Ms. Harper, who they don't distinguish the difference between the police and the sheriff's department. They just lump them together, right? They got a badge, they got a gun. They police, right? And some of the younger folk, they certainly don't categorize. They think there's a distinction at all. So tell the folks who don't know, and I believe it's quite a few people, what the difference between the Baltimore Police and the Baltimore City Sheriff's Department.
So that's a great question. The first thing, let's talk about the leadership in both agencies. We're talking about a police commissioner who is appointed by the mayor, and a sheriff who is elected by the people.
Sure.
Those are 2 major differences.
Sure.
Some other differences are these. In Baltimore City, it's jurisdiction. So the jurisdiction for the Baltimore Police Department is Baltimore City. Officers need exigent circumstances to go over the city line, to go into Baltimore County.
Sure.
Let's say a hot pursuit or something like that. In the sheriff's office, the deputies who work there have statewide jurisdiction. So when I was in domestic violence, I had sheriffs who went all the way up to Washington County to serve warrants. So those are some major differences. Another one is Baltimore City officers enforce criminal violations of criminal statutes.
Sure.
While sheriffs enforce criminal and civil. So there you find the eviction process and so on in the sheriff's office. So those are some really major differences. All of the officers who work, the law enforcement officers who work for both agencies, have certifications through the Maryland Police Training Commission, which is the governing body for the state of Maryland. So they have to certify all law enforcement personnel.
Okay. And I appreciate that. Thank you for that, because I know a lot of people don't know what the difference is. And that's a great explanation. So I've got some friends who are going through, these are landlords. You and I touched on this a little earlier, who are landlords right now in real time under the current sheriff's administration. they are backed up so much at the sheriff's department right now for serving, for service, right? So the court can't do anything with the case but to postpone and reschedule. So can you talk about that a little bit, what the distinction is and what you might be able to do to help that?
So I think a lot of my perspectives come through experience.
Okay.
I've been on both sides. I've been the tenant and I've been the landlord. So that's a delicate balance there. You know, a lot of the landlords depend on that income to live. And then on the other side, you have people who possibly have gotten into a situation, you know, where maybe they can't make the rent payment. I think it takes a very comprehensive solution. And one of my ideas is to actually work with some other entities like housing to discuss some initiatives that we can work on together to bring that eviction rate down in Baltimore City. So I think you really need a comprehensive approach, and nothing substitutes educating people about the process all the way around. So I think those are some important elements moving forward. And you don't ever want to dehumanize individuals who may be in a particular situation.
I appreciate that. It's frustrating because I've been on the landlord side several times, and actually currently, but we won't get into that. So I want to ask you a question. And you were talking to Calvin, my producer, earlier. Why should Baltimore elect Tapp Harper?
So I think it comes down to qualifications for this job. And I happen to be very uniquely qualified.
Okay. In
that I've been at both law enforcement agencies. I've been in Baltimore City and I've been at the sheriff's office. So I understand the intricate details internally and externally of both of those agencies. Not only have I worked there, but you know, a lot of this has to do with relationships. And so I served with the Baltimore School Police in leadership while they were searching for a chief some years ago. So I also have a relationship with that agency. And then I used to be a liaison with the Housing Authority Police. So having built these relationships that I've maintained over time, that is going to be an important element in taking Baltimore to the next level in terms of safety and security for our residents.
I appreciate that. I'm going to get into this because we're counting down for the next segment, because I believe, and you and I talked about this earlier, I believe that, so for what I do, my spirit and how I relate spiritually and my grounding in that helps to move me along progressively in what I do. And I believe, just based on the conversations that we've had, I understand you to be a spiritual woman, right?
Yes, sir.
We'll get into
Yes,
that.
Sir.
We'll get into that because I want, if you don't mind sharing that with Baltimore, because the religious community would love to hear that. You know what I mean? So Baltimore, this is Sabrina Tapp Harper. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Across Baltimore, couches fill up, remotes click on, and people tune in. Every Sunday morning at 11:30, families and neighbors are watching the New Life Show with Vin McCormick sharing stories of recovery, second chances, and real lives changing. It's the show Baltimore is talking about because hope belongs in every home. Watch the New Life Show with Vin McCormick, Sundays at 11:30 a.m. on WMAR-TV2. Be part of the New Life movement.
Human trafficking is often imagined as something distant, happening somewhere else to someone else. But in Baltimore City, it's a reality hiding in plain sight. It doesn't always look like what people expect. It can appear as manipulation, coercion, or survival situations where vulnerable people are controlled through fear, addiction, or desperation. Many victims never identify themselves as victims. They may feel trapped by circumstances, isolated from help, or dependent on substances used to keep them under control. And while the crisis is complex, one truth remains clear. Trafficking thrives where vulnerability exists. Poverty, addiction, homelessness, untreated mental health struggles. These are not just social challenges, they are doorways traffickers exploit. That's why fighting trafficking isn't only about rescue. It's about recovery, stability, and rebuilding lives. Here in Baltimore, community organizations are stepping forward to meet that need, not just in moments of crisis, but in the long journey afterward. The New Life Recovery Center is one of those boots-on-the-ground resources. Every day, New Life works with people facing addiction, housing instability, mental health challenges, and the aftermath of trauma, conditions that often intersect with trafficking. Through safe housing, addiction treatment, counseling, and re-entry support, New Life creates a path for survivors and vulnerable individuals to regain control of their lives. Because freedom is only the first step, healing is what sustains it. For survivors, recovery means rediscovering safety, dignity, and the power to choose a different future. For families and communities, it means learning to recognize the signs, supporting those at risk, and understanding that help is available right here at home. Human trafficking is not someone else's problem. It is a Baltimore problem, and solving it requires Baltimore solutions. When communities stay informed, when organizations work together, and when survivors are met with compassion instead of judgment, real change becomes possible. And every person who finds stability, treatment, and support is proof that recovery is stronger than exploitation. If you or someone you know needs help, the New Life Recovery Center stands ready, offering resources, care, and a place to begin again. Because every person deserves safety, every survivor deserves healing, and every new life starts with support. Call the New Life Recovery Center at 410-304-6563.
Baltimore, Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We're here today with the candidate for Baltimore City Sheriff, Ms. Tapp Harper. Ms. Harper, I want to go back to something that you touched on that I think is very, very important and unique about you, if I may say. You've had the benefit of working in both of the entities, police and sheriff, which you distinguish the difference between for our good folks who may not know. So I want to go back to that and just tell me how impactful that is for you to have been able to touch both of those at high levels.
So features tell, benefits sell.
I like that. That's a t-shirt, Kyle.
You know, if you were buying a luxury car, yes, it looks good and all of that, but it's the benefits of the vehicle that really would cause the individual to want to buy that. Okay. So working in both agencies, and listen, most people don't even know this, but because I was inside of both environments, I have a need to know the difference between the police department and the sheriff's office.
Sure.
The sheriff's office, while it's a smaller agency, has statewide power. It's a municipal sheriff's office in that it's a city agency. Right. But the deputies that work there have statewide power. So they can go to Frederick County and enforce or execute warrants. So it's much different than Baltimore City. Both certified, but jurisdiction difference and power differences. So, and like I said, a lot of people don't know those things because I was inside of both agencies. So I really had to comprehend and grasp what each agency had to offer and, you know, the rules and regulations and so on. So, you know, there are some things in law enforcement that are universal. Sure. And we work in a state where we have a law enforcement officer's Bill of Rights or police officers' rights. So police officers who work, or law enforcement people who work here, whether they be sheriffs or sworn officers in Baltimore City, they can't be subject to the disciplinary process without going through certain steps. You know, something else is the whole use of force piece. You know, those are some things that are universal in policing in terms of how we conduct business. But there are definitely some things. So the sheriff's office is the enforcement arm of the courts. Right. That is their first duty. The other thing is the sheriff's office was in effect prior to Baltimore City Police.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So the sheriff's office was first.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
about
interesting.
5 years prior to.
Okay.
So, and even though, like I said, I mentioned it's a smaller agency and that there are fewer deputies who work there. The deputies that work there actually do have more power. And in a crisis situation, the sheriff could actually deputize Baltimore City officers to have that same power.
I did not
under
know
certain
that.
circumstances.
Right,
Yes.
right. So let me ask you this, because this is your opportunity, if you will, to campaign. It really is. So I brought you on so Baltimore City could see you and they could hear you, because they may see this and not necessarily see one of your pamphlets anyway. So I want to make sure that I gave the opportunity. So tell the folks who are watching. We got about 3,800 viewership as I've gotten from Ms. Epps. What are the changes that you see in the sheriff's department that need to be made that you would take on right away?
Something that I would take on right away at the sheriff's office is maintaining the dignity and respect of the deputies and the people who visit the courthouse on a daily basis. And that would include the jurors and also the judges that work there. Making sure that they're treated with the utmost dignity and respect all the way around. And just remembering that the deputies are the line officers. These are the people on the front line who get the job done. They deserve respect too. You know, I still see this as a very noble career. And from a spiritual perspective.
Come on now.
So, you know, one of my mantles was, and I was in charge of domestic violence at the sheriff's office. One of my mantles with the supervisors was this: exalt others more highly than yourself. I said, listen, I'm not always so impressed with, you know, what you've done and, you know, I'm such a great person and all of this kind of stuff. What I'm concerned about is true leadership brings up leadership. And so I said, every day, come back to center and say, I want to exalt somebody more highly than I'm exalting myself.
Sure.
And I mean, you know, I think I say part of that has to do with me being a member of my church for my entire life. I mean, I was actually born there. My parents were already members when I was born. So,
And what church is that?
New Metropolitan Baptist.
Okay, shout out.
Dr. Richard Dickens at 1501 McCullough Street.
That's right. Talk about it.
So, you know, another thing that I really believe is church or foundational spirituality is preparation for the world. And I will say that that is one of the elements that has trained me and prepared me for this very moment in time. Yes, you know, I've done all the things with education, you know, I put the work in, but it is really that spiritual foundation that maintains a certain degree of compassion about doing this job over time. Because really, you know, in law enforcement, sometimes some of the things that we have seen will make you run out of this room. But, you know, having that spiritual piece intact has really kept me grounded. And always remembering that this is about service.
We talked about a little bit prior to the show. I believe that it's wholly important for us to have some spiritual grounding and direction in order to do anything. So that's a great point. Because if you don't have it, then you're moving along haphazardly. You're easily led by other things and other forces. That's why, you know, there's corruption in different places. We won't get into that because a whole nother show. But thank you for that. Baltimore, she's here. She's making history. She wants your vote. And we're going to come right back with Miss Sabrina Tapp Harper. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Across Baltimore, couches fill up, remotes click on, and people tune in. Every Sunday morning at 11:30, families and neighbors are watching the New Life Show with Vin McCormick sharing stories of recovery, second chances, and real lives changing. It's the show Baltimore is talking about because hope belongs in every home. Watch the New Life Show with Vin McCormick, Sundays at 11:30 a.m. on WMAR TV 2. Be part of the New Life movement.
In Baltimore City, every second matters. Right now, someone is trapped in human trafficking, not far away, hidden in plain sight. Fear controls them. Addiction keeps them there. Time keeps moving. But a new life can begin with one call. Call the New Life Recovery Center, 410-304-6563. Every second counts.
Baltimore, good morning. Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. And you got to forgive us, Baltimore. We have these conversations off camera that lead us to your humor going into the next segment. So we're just here having fun. We're here with Sabrina Tapp Harper, who's making history as a candidate for a Baltimore City Sheriff. Ms. Harper, in this segment, please let the folks who may be teetering or not know of you, tell them what you'd like to say, or why they should vote for you, or just what your thoughts are. Just talk to Baltimore.
So I think for me, one of the things that I found is most important, and it doesn't matter whether it's law enforcement, whether it was Afro Clean Block growing up, but
I remember that.
I can't say enough about the importance of community in all of this.
Absolutely.
It seems to me that we just don't become all that we can be without community.
Right.
And so, I would be the type of sheriff that, first of all, can work with the community, that understands the community and believes that I am the community. So without that, we're going to be very minimal in terms of our successes, or, it's not going to be the most that it can be. So, one of the pieces that I teach is what to do when stopped by the police. These police confrontations that we continue to see in the media and so on. If you're an individual who is a Black or brown individual and you come into contact with police, the possibilities of that spiraling out of control are tremendously high. So how do we deal with all that? We do it through education on both sides. We have to educate officers about the sanctity of life and the importance of every human life, and remind them that only when someone is an imminent threat and there's no other means available do we go to that extent. And we educate the community, because it's a big deal. I don't like when police lights are behind me, pulling me over. Right. I mean, that's enough to make you nervous.
Absolutely.
And so what do we do in terms of our interactions with the community to tell people, listen, relax, first of all. Keep your hands where the officers can see them. Sometimes the officers are nervous as well. So that this thing ends in a way where everybody walks away safely, let's follow some very basic steps in terms of how these confrontations happen. And I think until we take responsibility on both ends, we have to help the community.
Absolutely.
And my son, who's a Baltimore City school police officer, actually does the piece with young people. And he goes almost frame by frame, telling them, okay, so now I want you to stop right there, because I want you to see what I see as an officer. Come here, come where I am, so that you can see that the cell phone looks like a gun. And so, he's gotten over 5 million views for that. And I commend him for taking the time out.
Is that Instagram?
Yes.
So you know what? We're going to give your son some props for wanting to educate young people. So please tell, if you know, I think Mom knows, what's his Instagram so people can take a look at that? Officer
Xavier Harper.
Okay. Shout out to you, Officer Harper. That's important.
Right. And so everything begins and ends with training, as far as I'm concerned, in this whole policing world. And I don't think that a lot of officers want to do the right thing. They just need to be guided through the process. And also allowed to see from a frame of reference what the other person is seeing.
You know what's very interesting? to touch on that. Mental health in the community where someone is having a mental health breakdown. And I know you've seen this because it's been in the news, not just here in Baltimore City or in the state of Maryland, but broadly in other states too, where individuals who are in distress, some of them, there's some national news made of the young lady who was in her kitchen. She made the phone call and she was killed, right? So training is absolutely important, especially in situations where someone is experiencing mental health issues, because the officers don't know when they get there. One of the things that I have been talking to some folks in the Baltimore City Police Department is in training, right? And an officer who has expressed to me that they don't get trained enough with how to deal with. So in our last couple of minutes, is there anything that you believe that the deputies need to be trained on in terms of dealing with people who may be in mental health distress?
Absolutely. So, and I used to be in charge of Baltimore City's Police Academy.
Okay.
So we did something called BEST training, where we trained specific officers on what to look for, and in the event that someone got a call, usually we call these people out. Well, everybody in every agency needs to be trained in that manner now. You know, we can't afford to have specialized units where, you know, you call someone out because the crisis, when it happens, is happening.
Right.
So I think it's important that we train our people on, you know, what to look for and how to de-escalate these situations with the preservation of life being at the forefront. And I mean, you know, and realistically, do officers get in situations where they have no recourse, where their life or the life of another person is in imminent danger? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if there is any other option at all, we want to be guarded on the side of preserving the life.
Absolutely. On both sides. And I appreciate that. This has been wonderful. I appreciate you coming in and sharing with Baltimore who you are and your attempt to make history here in Baltimore City. And much success to you, Ms. Harper. Baltimore, Ms. Sabrina Tapp Harper, candidate for city sheriff here in our wonderful city of Baltimore. So if you heard what...
Harper for sheriff.
I'm sorry?
They can visit me on
there you
Instagram.
Go. No, we're gonna give you that. Go ahead.
Thank
it's
you.
Okay.
Thank you. They can visit me on Instagram at Tapp Harper for sheriff.
Okay.
And they can visit me on Facebook at Sabrina Tapp Harper for sheriff.
Yes, ma'am.
And see what's going on there. All kinds of good stuff.
Right. So she gave you the ways in social media in order to get in contact with her and get behind her in her effort to be Baltimore City first female sheriff in 181 years.
Yes.
That's deep. So Baltimore, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah. Baltimore, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. New life. Let's go. Yeah. Came home from the cell, chain still on my brain. Same block, same talk, same corner, same pain. Need change.